Welcome to The Performance Code, the official podcast of PCodeNation.com and the Performance Code community. Tune in each week as top performers and fitness experts share their tactics and strategies to get you on the fast track to achieving maximum results. And now, your host, Justin Scholar.
Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Justin Scholar, and you're listening to episode number 12 of the Performance Code podcast. So, first of all, I want to say how grateful I am that you guys chose to listen to this episode and to follow my show in general. You got a lot of choices out there, and I really do appreciate you guys tuning in each week to hear me, and hopefully I'm bringing some value to your life. If you ever have any questions, guys, shoot me an email, justin@pcodenation.com. I'm happy to help answer any questions you might have. So today I have a special guest. His name is Douglas Reeves. He is like a national NCAA champion gymnast. He's just one of those guys. He's just got it figured out. He's opening his own gym. I have a much bigger introduction lined up for you once the show actually starts. We recorded this probably, 2 months ago. So I'm going to let that introduction take its place when the time comes. In the meantime, though, guys, I want to announce that I am a published author as of Friday evening. That's right, guys. I finished a book. It's called The Performance Code. Go figure. It's an accompanying book to the podcast, to the website. It basically just encapsulates my philosophy on health and fitness. And in fact, before I even launched a podcast, before I created the Performance Code website and the academy and all that good stuff, it started with this book. I sat down, in fact, 15 months ago, I was staring at a blank screen without a single word written. Fast forward to today, my goal was to have it published this summer, and I did it. It is now available on Amazon for sale. However, before you go ahead and buy, I want to invite you to check out the website, pcodenation.com. It'll be linked in the show notes, and you can read the entire first chapter absolutely free. I mean, seriously, no strings attached. You don't even have to give me your email address or anything. Just go there. I want you to just read the first, 10% of the book on the house. Let me know what you think. If you do like it, and you want more, obviously there's going to be options for you to purchase it. But even if you just want to read the first chapter, you're going to get a lot out of it. I've put everything I got into it, very proud of it. So head over to pcodenation.com, and it's right there on the home screen. Just check out that first chapter and take it from there. So guys, without further ado, we're going to get into today's episode with the one and only Douglas Reeves. There is a huge introduction awaiting you, so I'm going to let that take place. So here we go. All right, what is up, P-Code Nation? I got a special guest today. I just had the pleasure of meeting this guy. He's just one of those really interesting people that as soon as I heard about him, I had to invite him on the show. So he's a 2009 and 10 Big Ten champion in men's gymnastics. He's 2010, 2013 NCAA championship team. He's a 3-time All-American between 2015 and 2016. He even took a shot at the Olympics in 2016, and he placed in the top 50. And if I'm not mistaken, the top 5 get to go. But still, top 50 in the country, guys. That is insane. He is currently the founder of 4 Rings LLC, which is a fitness, health, entertainment community that he's getting off the ground. So let's give a warm welcome to Douglas Johnson. Yeah.
Thank you, Justin.
Hey,
thank you very much. Super grateful.
Yeah, man. So glad to have you here. This is really cool. Douglas and I have been chatting a little bit before, and business owner to business owner, we were just kind of, talking shop a little bit, and instantly this guy and I hit it off. I can tell he's going to be a good friend of mine. So and by the way, I want to mention, no big deal, but he's also an aerospace engineer, and
Yes.
He had 3 NASA internships.
Yes. It was a little thing.
Come on, dude. What? So at what point did you go, you know what? I think I'm going to be an aerospace engineer.
So I knew I was going to be studying engineering ever since I was in middle school, actually. Good in math, good in science. So that was the course that I was going to take. And, it wasn't until I got into University of Michigan after my freshman year that I declared aerospace. Actually, was determining between mechanical and aerospace engineering.
What is aerospace exactly? So, obviously I know you're working in space and you're working with spacecrafts, right? But what is your specific niche or field in that area?
Yeah. So, trekking through to, let's just say, my senior design, right? My senior design in aerospace was essentially creating an entire mission, a space mission from a hypothetical space mission, and of course crunched into a semester's course, from the conception of the idea to the quote unquote launch.
Wow.
Right. And what, that was for me was essentially systems engineering. And that's what my engineering internships were, systems engineering within aerospace engineering.
Wow. That is so cool, man. And then, so how did you find the time with all that? Because that sounds like a crazy amount of work to train for like, all these championship teams. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, really, I believe it had a lot to do with my life from a youth. I was always doing a lot of things. I started gymnastics when I was 4 years old, so that's been like I've known that as my sport since I was 4 years old. And you're still in school. My parents put me in other extracurricular activities, even on top of gymnastics, and that was the norm. So being in a sport, you really find how to balance your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel that, like, because of your early adoption into this disciplined world of gymnastics, that kind of helped you create the infrastructure and foundation to it pursue these more advanced degrees and these bigger dreams?
Most definitely, and it transfers, and there are cycles in life. There are phases. You go through middle school, then you go to high school, then you go to college, then you go to post college, and each cycle, it's a beginning of a new experience. So, every new experience, there's trials and tribulations, and you grow from those trials and tribulations, and learning how to handle those cycles at a young age helped the later cycles.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So give us an example. Like, all right, so here you are, you were doing gymnastics at University of Michigan.
Correct. Right? Yes.
What is the training like? Because here's the thing, right? A lot of our listeners are people who are interested in putting on some size and increasing their strength. And I think that we just naturally tend to associate that with lifting weights, right?
Right.
However, anyone who's ever watched gymnastics knows that these guys and these girls are fucking shredded.
Right.
And they're developed.
Yes.
And it's an interesting, it's like we look at it and we're like, oh yeah, there's them. Of course they're, but we don't really understand the physiology behind it. So give us an example of what it would be like to train at that level.
Yeah, and I'm going to start by putting my bias out there. Gymnastics, I feel, is one of the hardest sports out there.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, and but the training regimen, and I wasn't introduced to weights until probably my junior year of college.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, actually. And I tend to think that's better.
Yeah.
Especially coming from a gymnastics background, because you have so much body awareness leading up to that point where you start weight training that it just clicks, and you're going to get so much more out of it, and you're going to avoid injuries. I think the mistake people make is they jump into weight training with zero body awareness. They don't even really know how to do a push-up, and all of a sudden they're doing bench press and back squats, and they get hurt, and then they say, oh, squats are bad.
Right.
So anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. And in gymnastics, it's the manipulation of your own body weight.
Yep.
Right. So, of course, the basics are so essential. That's how you prevent injuries, harm to your body, learning your own body mechanics without any resistance or any weight. Once you master that, or close to master those basics, because you should always be working on your basics in the gymnastics world. Even as an elite gymnast, you add weight to yourself. So common thing is, putting on ankle weights or putting on a weight vest, and then doing the same calisthenic type work that you were doing without the weight.
So then what is that? So give us an example of the kind of movements that you would do. So you would be getting ready for an event, are you doing anything outside of just practicing those movements? Like, I guess, AKA accessory work?
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like?
Well, let's start with the structure of the average gymnastics workout. You come in, you warm up, which usually consists of running, jogging, and a light conditioning, whether that's a real brief core workout, a little bit of dips and pull-ups, and then we stretch. Right, and I've heard different things about stretching prior to workout, but that's been the norm for gymnasts for years, and it seems to work. So we stretch.
I mean, besides Olympic lifters, gymnasts are the most flexible.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you hear all the arguments of, well, if you do passive stretching, which is mainly what you're talking about here, right? Well, it shuts down your nervous system, or it puts you in a state of parasympathetic nervous system, and your muscles are weaker. But the irony is that whenever you look at any of these sports, everybody's stretching out before they go in. I used to do martial arts. Nice. I was a kickboxer, and we would sit there in the splits for 2 minutes, man.
Yeah. Remind me to tell you about it's called the gap between passive and active mobility. Yeah. But moving from the stretch, we go to we actually usually begin our basics, right? We go basic tumbling.
Okay.
And basic tumbling may be things starting with like forward rolls, actually, and handstand walks, and cartwheels and cartwheel step. And for gymnastics, the longer you're in the sport, your basics become
less basic,
right? Your basics become less basic, right. And then you move on to the apparatus, and and there's 6 men's apparatus, and there's 4 women. And before you just try a skill, the coach gives you what are called drills. The drills and the progressions, the steps. A lot of the times, the drills are very specific conditioning for the skill, or if you need a little bit more flexibility for that skill, it's very specific flexibility. Some drills are really activate your vestibular and proprioceptive systems, and then when the coach feels that it's safe to try a skill, you then try the skill.
And how long of a window of time is that usually before you're actually doing the skill or doing the apparatus?
Oh man.
Hour, 45, 30 minutes?
You mean in a regular practice?
Yeah.
Okay. No, we'll touch the event like right after the warm up, but a lot of the drills for that event tend to be on the event. And for instance, if you're trying to learn the proper swing on rings, right? You'll hang on rings, and the coach will go over and look at your shape, your body shape, and if everything is lined up, if you are engaging your quads to make your knees straight, and everything is in gymnastics is very specific in terms of lines, angles, and shapes, and that's what you get deducted on. If your knee is bent, that's an angle, and that's it's like not
penalty.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you get deducted.
Right.
So you may be on the apparatus doing these strength drills, but you won't be doing the actual skill until you're ready to do it.
And it's so interesting because I think that like what's happening now in the fitness world is a lot of people are way less concerned with the position their body's in, and just more they're chasing numbers, right? They just want to get bigger, faster, stronger,
right?
And obviously I own a CrossFit gym, and we're in it right now, by the way.
Yep. Love it.
Thanks. Yeah, and in a sense, I think that CrossFit has helped revitalize interest in sports like gymnastics and Olympic lifting that were maybe becoming less and less mainstream.
Most definitely.
On the other hand, I do see so often how people are just ignoring movement patterns, ignoring proper movement standards, and especially when it comes to the rings. You know, it's like just shoulders are forward, chest is overextended. I mean, I would imagine in your sport it'd be blasphemy. Right. So how do you feel? So, how do you then, if you were going to work with somebody, how would you incorporate some basic gymnastics into like a general like strength routine?
If they're brand new to the sport, or
let's just say they're, maybe we're talking to someone who's moderately experienced in the gym. They want to be athletic, they want to be strong, they want all these things, and now they're looking at these rings and they look pretty cool. So how would you get somebody ready to just even do like a ring dip? What would be like the first progression to that?
Shapes.
Okay.
And excuse me. And what I mean by shapes is learning how to maneuver your body into different shapes.
Yeah, right.
So we'll go to the ground first. And even for everything, you have to be able to manipulate your body in what we call a hollow position.
Yep. Hollow, we do all the time. We do that for like warm ups here. We'll like have people like hold hollow.
Yes, body. Right, hollow, and the opposite of the hollow is the arch, and straight body, right? And then those are like the three basic, and then you can do different, like you can go do your hollow position in a push up, right? And you can do your arch position in what we call a rear support, which is your back is facing the floor,
right?
And your hands are on the floor, the opposite of a push-up.
Right. Yep.
Right? And being able to hold yourself in these shapes in different ways, right? Even before we touch the rings, because on rings, there's straight body position, there's a hollow, there's an arch position. And being able to not only understand these shapes, but also put yourself in these shapes prior to touching the rings or any other apparatus is very important.
So again, what we're talking about is body awareness.
Body awareness.
And that's something that I don't think a lot of people understand until they've hurt themselves or until, or something's gone wrong, when finally they pay attention and they go, okay, what was that you were talking about? I can't extend my arm all the way over my head. So is that why my shoulder hurts all the time? Or, my back's always hurting. And it's like, okay, come here, grasshopper. Now you're ready to listen. Unfortunately, it takes that to that point for a lot of people. And so I think what you and I are on the same page about is start slow. Understand your body. And I think really what we're talking about is midline stabilization.
Yes.
Right. And really getting your brain to connect with those stomach muscles and that core and, keep that spine straight. Glutes, man. Squeezing, right. Totally. And, when you, the sooner you can get started with that and just start piecing those baby steps together, you build like an indestructible foundation. Where, like you said, you didn't touch weights until when? Your junior year in college?
Yes, junior year in college.
And then how did that go for you?
Oh, it was great. It was not knowing how to I didn't even know proper weightlifting technique until.
But you probably instinctually knew it.
Right, instinctually knew it. I think the first time I actually ever benched, I think I got like 260 or something
insane.
like that.
See, I've been benching since I was 16 and I still can't hardly get 260.
Yeah, and I've never touched the bench press, before.
Right, because of all the ring work, all the plank and planche positions you've been in. I mean, you just built, you fortified.
I'm 170. I'm 170.
Yeah,
too.
That's insane, dude. Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, that's over 1.5 times your body weight. I mean, that's considered a really good bench in the iron world, in the barbell world. And here this guy walks in, never having done it. And I've heard this story time and time again with gymnasts, and that's why it's always so fascinating to me.
Right.
Because I really do believe that, like, that is, when I have a kid, if I could do it over again, that's how I would do it. I just see that it just creates such a good foundation, for lack of a better word.
Yes,
yeah. So okay. So so let me back up here. So we're talking Big Ten championship team in 2009, 2010.
Yes.
Championship, NCAA championship team 2010, 2013. I mean, 3-time American. I mean, these are some crazy things. So what was your specialty? I know, like,
Right.
I'm sure you're proficient in everything.
Yeah, I
But,
do all around, but my best two events in college were parallel bars and rings.
Oh, wow.
And
Cool, man.
and post college, my best two events became parallel bars and high bar. And the reason why I lost, rings was no longer my best event. I actually tore both my pecs.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I tore both my pecs. One in 2011 January and one in 2012 January.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
So as soon as the first one was starting to feel better,
right,
you went and tore the other one.
yeah, it sucked.
Was that not a career-ending injury? I would imagine for.
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. I mean,
Guess not.
Right. Nope. I mean, in the moment, it was devastating.
Yeah.
In the moment, very devastating.
What happened? How did it happen?
So the first time was on parallel bars, actually.
Okay.
One of the events people wouldn't necessarily expect.
Yeah.
There's this skill called a Dimitrenko on parallel bars. And what it is, you're essentially doing a double backflip between the parallel bars, and then you re-catch the parallel bars on your biceps and underarms.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And, I unfortunately had the turn I took was a wrong technique, and I was a little bit below the bar and still tried to catch the bar, and my left pec tore. This tear was very similar to what bench press. I was told a lot of bench pressers have this injury when they go too deep in their bench.
Right.
So
right,
the tendon was torn off of the bone.
Oh, really?
Right.
Yeah.
The tendon that's attached to the pec was torn off of the bone.
Oh, man.
Right.
And then what was the second injury?
Second one was crazy. I mean, it like the skill was not crazy. It was crazy because it was a simple, basic skill for gymnasts. It was super basic.
Yeah.
It was a so dip, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was a dip straddle cut. So it's in gymnastics, you dip, you propel yourself into the air where your hands are off the bar, and then you re-catch your the bar in like a straddle L hold position. And on that pushing action, my right pec tore.
Just
Yeah.
Now, could that have been because the left one tore, and it was just maybe getting overcompensated? And
I think so, actually.
I'm sure there's something going on.
Yeah,
there.
I think so. I definitely don't know the specifics why, but I think that had something to do with
Well,
it.
this is interesting because I think this is an interesting topic we're bringing up now because you were a professional athlete and you tore a muscle. A lot of professional athletes do, but
Right.
a lot of just recreational athletes or just weekend warriors, they get injured too.
Mm-hmm.
And what drives me crazy is when a member of the gym or a personal client of mine or anyone I know in the fitness world twists an ankle, sprains a wrist,
Right.
or whatever the case may be, and they just stop.
Yeah.
And they take they're like, all right, well, I gotta let this heal. I'll be back in a month or two. And it's like, well, what about the rest of your body?
Right.
Now,
I
something
was in
tells
the
me-
next day.
Yeah.
The next
something tells me you didn't
2 days after surgery.
Wow.
2 days after surgery, I was in.
And
in
that's
the gym.
and that's the warrior spirit that I preach, that I try to teach to my people. It's like, not only do you have to keep your head in the game, because that's number one.
Right.
If you feel defeated,
Most
you are
definitely.
defeated. Perception is reality.
Yes.
Right? And as soon as you buy into this idea, oh, I'm too hurt, I can't go to the train. I knew it. I hurt myself. Oh, there we go. I'm not meant to be fit. Mm-hmm. You're right.
Right,
And guess
right.
what? You've just created your own reality.
Right.
But what science tells us is that if you have a hurt shoulder, but you come in and you start moving around a little bit and that blood starts flowing, you're going to heal up a lot quicker than if you were just a couch potato feeling
Yes.
sorry for yourself.
Right.
So what was your training like after those injuries?
Man. Well, gratefully, University of Michigan had a great staff. I did a ton of physical therapy. Not necessarily directly after, but soon after. I'd say about a month in. However, in the meantime, since it was my pec, I did a lot of leg work and core work. A lot of leg work and a lot of core work. And coach was like, you can make sure your flexibility is not lost during this this time. You know, your toe, for us in gymnastics, toe point is really important. So, you know, your toe point, you know, your splits, your pike stretch, and did a lot of flexibility, leg strength and conditioning, and core strength and conditioning.
Are we talking like straight up back squat, plyometrics, stuff like that with legs?
Yeah. So you know, since I was in a sling, I was in a sling. So we do calf raises and toe raises. Things we call ankle walks, where, you know, you curl your toes across the carpeted floor to strengthen your ankles.
Oh wow.
You know, squats, but, you know, I wouldn't necessarily put any weight on because I still had the sling.
Yep.
Specific exercises for your hamstrings, where we'd put our feet on a yoga ball and curl the ball towards our glutes. Hamstring curls. And then, you know, at that point, you know, I would do stationary bike. I would do a little bit of leg weights, you know, a little bit of leg weights. And then majority of the time, the rest of the time would be spent on core, you know, a lot of core strengthening and conditioning.
What was your recovery time? Like when was that? How was that first time going back at it? Cause I'm sure you had to go face the demon.
Oh,
right.
I competed that skill again at the same skill that I tore my pec on.
Man, in the back of your head, were you thinking like, here we go? Because you see it in, like, you know, I watch football and basketball, and like when you see these guys come back from a major injury,
right?
Oh, Derrick Rose, you ever watch the NBA?
Yes.
You know, right? I mean, that guy, you know, in the back of his head, every time he jukes, every time he pivots, is this it?
Right.
Am I going to tear my shit again?
Right.
Was that going on? Like,
it was. Yeah.
How do you quiet that?
Well, the recovery time is 6 months, right? Or for this, it was 6 months. So, you know, you have a lot of time to think, and a lot of time. But, you know, in that time, you really have to work on your mental fortitude. I mean, don't get me wrong. My mentality went down, you know, the first couple of months. It was tough. Yep. It was tough, you know, but, you know, having that community helped out.
Right.
You know, watching video, practicing, you know, meditation.
Huge, guys.
Yeah.
Meditation's so huge.
Right. Practicing meditation, practicing affirmations, writing down the goals that I had once I came back and repeating those on a daily basis. And then doing the same thing once I was back in the gym.
Right. So this happened 2012, 2011, 2012?
2011, it was the first tear. 2012 was the second tear.
And then in 2016, you came back and you placed top 50.
In
the country.
Right. Yes.
So arguably, you got better.
I became a better gymnast after college.
Yeah.
Really interesting. I became a better, and I don't think it was by coincidence. You know, the structure, this kind of what you said before. What would I have done differently? You know, thinking about what I would have done differently. I had the opportunity to apply that. After college. And from everything from my nutrition to my sleep, because in college
you don't pay attention to that shit.
Yeah, you don't.
20 years old.
You don't.
19
right.
years old.
Right. So nutrition, sleep, really listening to my body, you know, and I changed my whole philosophy on pushing myself. You know, you can I love pushing, you know, but you have to understand your body's limits, and sometimes that takes time.
Right.
And yeah, so just changing my structure.
Yeah. Yeah. It just sounds like you kind of just became a little bit more mature, and you just
yes.
You got lucky. You were fortunate where you became more mature while physically you were still able to do this, where a lot of people, they don't have those realizations until they're in their 30s or 40s, and then they go, well, I guess I can teach it now.
Right, exactly.
You know, but to be able to be young enough and fit enough to come back and actually compete again, having that space and that time to really let those thoughts evolve, and understand really what the game is all about, because you know, fitness is no one thing.
Right.
It's not how much you exercise. It's not how much vegetables you eat or how much protein you take in or how much you sleep. It's everything.
Right.
And the sooner you can realize that, you got to mobilize. You got to take a day off.
Right.
You got to sleep. You got to drink enough water. You got to eat well.
Right.
Like once you get the spectrum and that you look at it as this holistic, aggregate, then you can really start to, enjoy your time, enjoy the process, and get the results you're looking for. A lot of people takes them a long time to get there.
Most definitely.
So it might be a blessing in disguise in a weird way, right? That you had an injury and that you had that time to like think about
recalibrate,
it. Right. And the time sure is devastating, but in hindsight, we can always kind of pull some opportunities in there.
Most definitely.
So, all right. So here we are. It's 2017 now. So this was just last year that you played. So where are you now? What are you doing now? Are you still competing? Are you letting that part of your life go? Is there anything else going on in your life?
Yeah.
Maybe you want to talk about right now.
Right. Well, I'm coaching. You
mean you're being coached? You're coaching people?
I'm coaching. Yeah, I coach at currently at Broadway Gymnastics in Playa Vista.
Right on.
So in charge of 50 boys from the age of 6 to 18.
Nice.
And yeah, it's awesome. Love it. Naturally, I still have a bug to train, so I still train and get in the gym. There's guys that are the last Olympics. Chris Brooks was in our last Olympics team at 30 years old. So, I'm 26 currently, and people are still pushing themselves. So you never know where that can go. However, the goal prior to even the Olympics, I knew that, once I was done training, I wanted to provide to others what I wish I would have had. And again, going back to, what I have done differently, I want to provide that to the masses. So that brought me to my new company. It's called Four Rings. Four Rings, rooted in fitness, health, entertainment, and community. And we've created a platform for the whole well-rounded person. Fitness training rooted in gymnastics, nutrition guides, also entertainment. For that, I found during my training was a huge relative or very important component to that whole well-rounded aspect of living. And then also community, right? Having a community that you can tie into.
Right. I mean, the four rings, it's like those your rings are your pillars, right?
Most definitely.
And I think that's, just like we're talking about how fitness is no one thing. It's not just diet. It's not just sleep, not just exercise. Well, having like a healthy lifestyle is no one thing either, right? Right. It's not just all about being a taskmaster when it comes to nutrition and health and sleep and everything, but it's also the spiritual side of it. It's like letting yourself relax, having this community. Right. I think it's so smart. You and I were talking about this before we started recording here of, just like, giving yourself permission to have fun. Right. And, have this entertainment, like taking your mind off of your training, off of your goals for a second and just letting it all go. Right. It's so understated, but it's so important.
Most definitely.
So give us an example of like what kind of entertainment you're going to be providing at Four Rings. And by the way, I should mention, Four Rings, you're in the process of creating this an actual brick and mortar facility. Right here in Los Angeles.
Right, in Los Angeles.
Nice, man.
Yes. And everything that we will have in the facility, we're currently doing right now.
Okay. All right.
Cool. And, you can go online at fourrings.co to, look at our calendar, find out more about the company. So, what we do right now is we provide gymnastics rooted workouts, and it really gives people that sense of satisfaction of being able to achieve things they didn't realize they were able to achieve to begin with. And, we use public spaces, we rent out spaces, cool. We do what we have to currently in order to provide this service and product to people.
So great that you didn't wait. A lot of people, they would just sit there and wait until they finally got $1 million to open up a space. Right. Where you're just like, well, I'll just bypass that whole thing. Right. And we'll just go and do pop-ups or something,
exactly.
and build the community, because that community is what's ultimately going to create your, this vision of what you have. Absolutely.
It's so important. In terms of the entertainment portion, we have a whole calendar of events this year, from panels, panel discussions from a large range of fields, from fitness, health, entertainment, from business, entrepreneurs, being able to provide people information that's advantageous to them, that they would have never experienced or heard of otherwise. Right. We have TED Talk style events with music and DJing intermixed every first Saturday of the month.
Yep.
We have live concerts actually happening throughout the year. And, this is kind of like the novel thing for this company, Four Rings, having
so cool.
that well-rounded bit.
Man, and I'll tell you, nothing will keep people coming back like that sense of community and like just having those friends and building those memories with each other.
Right.
Having things to do. That's so cool, man.
Thank you.
So, all right. So let's talk about this now. You had mentioned you got smarter with diet.
Yes.
You mentioned that you just in general, just more balance, but I think people are always asking me, number one, what should I eat? Right. And we had kind of touched on this in the beginning of the episode of like, hey, gymnasts are pretty built. A lot of people aspire to that. Right. So give us a day in the life. Right. Of the Douglas routine. I want how do you start your day? What's your food look like? What's your own training look like? Give us a day in the life. Give us a little window into Douglas. Here.
Sounds good. And I'm going to start off by saying I will forever be a student.
Oh yeah.
I will forever be a student. And what I do now, I've learned from people that are smarter than me or have done it before me. Like for instance, one of my fitness and health mentors, Steve Madama, is like a physical therapist / neuroscientist, right? So a lot of what I've implemented in my daily routine has come from these mentors of mine, right? So, and one of the phrases that Steve Madama, that I've adopted from Steve Madama was assess and reassess.
Yep.
Right. Yep. So what I'm doing right now is not what I've done in college. It's not it's not what I've done after in training for 2016.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's important, right? Because this is where a lot of people get hung up, because a lot of people, to some degree, maybe played college or high school sports, and here they are, probably similar age to you, struggling with the balance,
right?
Because they were really athletic and they always had a coach and it was just like, go, 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 go. And now they're entering adulthood for the first time. They're dealing with challenges with balance and career. They want to advance.
Right.
They're having a hard time keeping it all together. And what's the first thing that goes as soon as you get busy? Your health.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
that's so important to keep.
I think that people can relate to you on they can at least get something from what you're doing right now.
Okay, yeah.
Keep yourself fit.
So you have to be willing to plan.
Yeah,
you have to be willing to plan.
Yep.
Going to bed. It starts the previous night.
Yeah. Totally.
I've always been a night owl. So, going to bed earlier is something that I'm really focusing on now, so I can wake up earlier and start my day.
Totally.
Wake up earlier. I wake up, meditate and pray, and I have a cup of tea. I read a little bit. I do some work, some work for Four Rings. By then when my day has been going on for a bit. I then go to the gymnastics gym and for me, I've been doing this for so long that I know a routine that works for myself. I go in there and now I'll spend an hour and a half in the gym at this bit of time. Then I'll coach gymnastics. And then usually after I coach, I go back to the gym and do about another 30-minute to 45-minute strength and conditioning portion.
Oh, nice.
And of course through there, you have your meals.
Yeah. What do you follow any diet? Do you have like a certain amount of calories you're trying to hit, or do you just kind of eyeball it? Like,
I've never counted calories. I've never in my experience. I've always been really big on feeling.
Yep.
And being in tune with your body. When I was in college, of course, I ate higher amounts of protein, aiming to get 1 pound per 1 gram per pound of body weight. But it's a lot. But I did eat a lot. Currently, I'm actually trying to do the vegan thing.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Yeah, vegan thing. And now I believe I'm going to shift into introducing fish, so like pescatarian.
Yeah.
Right. And the reason why, I think it's always important to have your why are the health benefits that I've researched from eliminating meats. But then, again, there goes the question, how are you getting your proteins? Which there's a lot of plant-based protein and reasons why I'm introducing fish and seafood. And, to be honest, I do feel a little weaker, and that's something that's really important. Like my mentor said, always assess and reassess.
Yeah. Don't be so attached. And I think it's a moral argument, man. And, I'd be lying if I said I wrote about this in the book. It's like, I eat meat, and I would advise someone who's adopting a strength and conditioning program to have higher than normal levels of protein. On the other hand, sometimes I look at like a chicken carcass and it grosses me out. I just don't, as I get older, I love animals. And it's like I really just I struggle with it internally. So for me, it's sort of like doing the best I can to make sure that I am voting with my dollars, and encouraging best practices in the farming world. And that means grass-fed, that means cage-free or organic. It just means pastured, and not supporting animal cruelty by buying meats that are from conventional factory farms, slaughterhouses, But it's like, listen, and this might sound, I am from LA, all right? This might sound out there, but it's like, if the animal can have the best life possible leading up to that point to serve us, then we can pay it respect by making sure that we promote that kind of farming practices. And so, that's where I draw my moral line. But I get it, I totally get it.
Well, here's something that I was introduced to, the moringa leaf. And it's claimed to have double the amount of protein as eggs and triple the amount of vitamin C as oranges, in a serving. So like being able to research and find alternatives to ingest that provide you your nutrients.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't always have to be a piece of flesh. I mean, eggs are a good one for me. You know what I mean? I don't have any moral qualms about eggs, for example. So between eggs, protein powders, and other sources, you can pretty much get a lot of what you need. But that's a personal journey and it's a personal decision. And, I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm just simply talking about how I do it, and I think you are too. But it is interesting to have resources, because I think the more you understand about this stuff, the better chances you're going to make the right decision for you. And so understanding about moringa leaf and pea protein and other sources of protein that can give you what you need, it's worth exploring. Absolutely.
Most definitely.
All right, man. Well, I think we've filled the ears of our listeners with enough information to chew on for today.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So great talking to you. That was really awesome. I want to have you back on.
Awesome.
I want to have you back on sooner than later. Especially once you get moving with this place, we can talk about it.
Right.
And then maybe in the future, I don't know, guys, should we like have Douglas create some sort of like gymnastic program for the Strength RX Academy?
Would love it.
That's my gym. Performance Code Academy. Oh, I'm getting all tied up. That would be cool.
We'll do both.
Yeah, we'll do both. Fuck it. Anyways, all right, guys. So that is it for today. Tune in next week for another fantastic episode with a fitness leader. All right, Douglas. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you very much.
Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to The Performance Code, the official podcast of PCodeNation.com, with your host, Justin Schollard, online at PCodeNation.com. We'll catch you next time.